Hi, this is Sandy. Welcome to day 5 of my 13 Frights before Halloween. Today we're going to actually start putting some of the pattern paper that we've already cut onto the sides of our house. So it's going to start really coming together now. I want to remind you that we are working on a haunted house kit from Country Craft Creations and also using the pattern paper Matilda and Godfrey by Photo Play. And don't forget to leave comments for entries for my prize drawing that will be on the October 31st, and also to use the code BLOGHOP, BLOGHOP, if you're ordering from Country Craft Creations. So let's get started. Today we're going to start putting the pattern papers on the outside of our little house, and before I glue each one on, I'm going to ink them with the sides of them with black Suet Tim Holtz Distress ink. So I'm just using a foam applicator and inking around the edges to get a good coat on them to make sure that they've all been inked. I think I'll probably be doing this as I'm gluing them on. So first I'm working on this piece with the door. I'm going to ink inside the door. It needs that too. And then we're going to glue that on. So I am going to be using the Art Glitter Designer Glue to attach this to the house. So I'm just laying it on there. This is a different piece, and I'm making sure that I did have it cut and the windows are lining up correctly. And if I need to do any trimming, this is when I'm going to be doing it now. So checking it out, and now I'm going to apply glue to the back side. So make sure you go around each window and put a thin line of glue. Now you barely can see the glue because I'm using the metal tip on this art glitter glue, but this keeps you from putting too much glue on. So I'm going to go around each window and then put a little bit in between the sections of this paper and along all the edges. You want to make sure that it's stuck down good. And with the house laying down flat, I'm just going to line it up. Line up all the windows, and then it's real important that once you've got it lined up that you burnish with your hands so that it all sticks down nice and smooth. And I have a little bit of glue that oozed out, so I'll just use a dry baby wipe to take care of that. So now I'm going to put this one on. This is the one that I just inked. This is for the front where the door is. And I think I did not tell you that I did keep the cutout of that door, the piece of paper. I kept that in case I wanted to attach a door, and I think I am going to attach a little door that's hanging open to the inside once we get further along. So now I'm adding glue to this piece, and again I'm going to go all the way around the windows, around the door, and on each edge of the paper, and then fill that in. Once these papers get on this little house, it's going to start looking really cute. And then after it's patterned, the next step I think will be adding our shutters and pieces of wood on there, unless I decide, I'm not sure, we're not going to be doing it today. I might decide to put the porch on first, so we'll see. I have 2 more to go. And again, just make sure you put plenty of glue, but not too much. You don't want it real thick, but you do want glue on all the areas. So I'm just going to fit that on here, line it up, and burnish with my hands to make sure all the edges stick down. Okay, that looks good. So we have one more side to pattern. Got a little bit sticking off here on the edge that I'm going to have to trim off, but I'm going to go ahead, put this one on, and then I'm going to use my craft knife, I think, to cut that little bit off. So I had a little hangover there. And again, make sure you put down plenty of glue around all the windows. And then line this one up too. I really like the bats on the orange for the sides of my house. It was kind of hard to decide which papers to use. So I see a little bit on the bottom that I need to trim off, and then that one on the side. I'm using my box cutter craft knife to just cut along the edge of that chipboard on the bottom and trim off any of the excess paper that's sticking over. Make sure you do use a craft mat underneath because you don't want to cut your table. So I'm just carefully cutting away a little bit at a time. It did leave a little rough edge, but I think I'll go ahead and just sand that a little bit and rough it up to give it a vintage, like an old look for the house, because I don't want a new haunted house. I want it to look like a little haunted house. So I'm going to use a sander tool to rough up the edges just a little bit. So I'm just going to trim that off. Okay, and let me look it over. I think that'll work. Let me grab a sanding tool. So I'm just going to sand this where I trimmed it off and let there be some white there, and then I'm going to re-ink that. I'm just going to go ahead and ink all the different edges, some on the sides, kind of smooth it out. If you don't have one of these Prima sanding tools, you can just use a little sanding block. I also have sanding blocks that I like to use that work really well for things like this. I've finished sanding the edges, and now I'm using the black soot distress ink and going back over the edges that I've sanded to kind of fill it in with some black. So it's going to leave a little bit of a rough look with some blending over it with the black. And this just helps to make it not look perfectly brand new. So this is something that's optional. If you want to sand yours and ink it like that, then you can do that. Or if you like to leave it uninked, that's fine also. Okay, so now I'm just looking it over, see how it looks, and I'm also looking to see if there's any places underneath or where the paper's joined to the base that needs more ink, or even some of the black markers. So I'm using the Sharpie markers here on some of the corners. You can see where it's showing just a little bit white, so I'm just filling that in. So look over yours, see if there's any places where you need to add a little bit of black to kind of finish it up. Okay, so we've got the pattern papers on our house now, and we're ready to move on to the next step tomorrow. So I'll see you tomorrow for day 6. Bye-bye.